I've come to a hospital in Ukraine where Britain's armed forces are helping wounded Ukrainian soldiers on their journey to recovery and rehabilitation. I'm not allowed to tell you where I am. I'm not allowed to tell you how many British armed forces personnel are based here. It's a small handful. And we're not allowed to tell you how many Ukrainian soldiers are being treated here. All of that is because of concerns that Russia might target this facility. As we know, they've targeted so many hospitals over the course of this war. The UK has spent some £55 million on what's called Project Renovator, and that's a NATO-wide mission to restore, support 5 sites across Ukraine. 5 NATO nations are involved, and they're providing kit, infrastructure and training, and that is ongoing, and that's been pretty impressive to see. But even more impressive than that has been the stories of the Ukrainians, the wounded Ukrainians that we've met in this hospital. We're going to introduce you to some of those.
Як завжди, ми працювали ми тут днем. Встали ми в 3 часа ранку, в 4 часа вийшли на задачу, в 5 годині вже були на кордоні умовно, там, де ми виконували бою задачу. Провести перевірку мінних полів наших позицій.
Чи нема там?
Да, чи там нема, чи воно все працює і все нормально.
А, чи працюють міни?
Мінних полів.
Ці...
Можна сказати так як ми встановлюємо тільки керовані мінні поля, ми пішли, нам була задача поставлена піти перевірити керовані мінні поля на наших позиціях.
Що значить?
Так як по Оттавській конвенції ми не маємо права використовувати некеровані мінні поля. Десь в 10-й годині ми поверталися вже назад на місце нашого розміщення, там 3 кілометрів, в 10 ранку. І, як я люблю казати, як завжди, нічого не передбачало біди. Дрони завжди літають, завжди дивимося під ноги, щоб нічого не було. Ми завжди їх слухаємо, контролюємо, тобто якщо ми чуємо десь FPV підлітає, ми ховаємося. Як тільки відкрито місцевість, ми її переходимо. Як нас навчили в Британії слухати і дивитися. Дистанція і комунікація, теж скажіть. Це один із 5 пунктів. І була ділянка метрів десь 100 між посадками. Ми проходили, і була дистанційно поставлена міна з дрона біля нашої трипи, де ми завжди ходили. Я не знаю, як вона спрацювала, вона була, видно, поставлена збоку недавно, ми нас побачили якось так. Ішов, просто все, що я пам'ятаю, це підрив, другу секунду вже на трипі все. На землі, бачу, що ноги перебиті. Ми приїхали наземним роботизованим комплексом і мене завезли. Бо ще потрібно було йти до точки евакуації 3 кілометри. Щоб не нести було, то мене хвилин за 40 за час завезли на точку евакуації, приїхала машина і мене забрали на стаб. І що я ще хочу сказати, такий момент, який, скажімо так, також мені допоміг. Було дуже боляче, це зрозуміло. Біль була така, яку пояснити дуже важко, але адреналін нам допомагає в таких ситуаціях, скажімо так, врятувати життя. Я постійно був у свідомості, і я розумів, що мені цей період евакуації потрібно бути в свідомості і контролювати весь процес, можете це мені сказати.
Part of that rehabilitation journey happens here in the gym, in this room and one next door, which have been kitted out by the UK as part of this Project Renovator, a joint NATO effort to help Ukraine's armed forces, to help wounded soldiers recover. And it's pretty impressive to see the facilities that they've got here, but far more impressive than the facilities has been the spirit, the determination, the attitude of these wounded men and women who are determined to recover, to relearn in many instances how to use their bodies, their changed bodies, their maimed bodies, now fitted with prostheses.
Standing, and they had a low hemoglobin, you might think that there are efficiencies as well as improving the quality of care and the facilities and the infrastructure. I think that they will see improvements in that. Those will be measured probably in longer time frames than we're able to so far.
What's the sort of turnover of patients here? Do you know? I mean, do you know how many are admitted a week and how many?
Yeah, no. So numbers-wise, we're not party to that. We tend to review a ward per day and deal with a number of patients from that ward that the Ukrainians have asked us to give some advice on. Lots of the cases we learn from, so we've had some amazing cases with the surgeons being involved as well as their rehab doctors. And like the commanding officer said, the way that the interaction between the surgeons and the rehab doctors is world leading, and that's a model that we in the UK can improve even more in our care. So we're learning from them, and in building those links in the future it will build an academic and research to drive and improve the quality of care for people who are injured in the future.
So explain to me, that's one of the lessons the UK is learning, you're learning. So what is that the main lesson? What is the main lesson that the UK is learning from Ukraine's experience?
Yeah, I think when you look at our individual clinicians, so if you look at each of the branches of doctor, rehab doctor, physiotherapist, exercise rehab instructor and occupational therapist, each individual area is learning expertise from people who are in the fight right now, and we are learning. We take that back to our Defence Medical Service colleagues. We then do teaching. We have a conference coming up. This conflict is the centre of that conference, and learnings then come out. We've got young physiotherapists on this trip who are learning from one of our senior physiotherapists, as well as from the partner force, the Ukrainians physiotherapists.
We come into the surgical ward where there are 3 operations happening concurrently behind me. What they expect is going to be a 5-hour surgery on a soldier who had severe shrapnel injuries to his right shoulder. We've seen them drilling into that wound, removing an external fixation. In this room, there's a man who's got injuries to his left foot, and in the surgery beyond that, we've seen a man who's had negative pressure and stitches changed, trying to close up a wound on his thigh. They said he might be back in the fight within a few weeks. So a huge range of injuries, but all of them pretty unpleasant to look at, all of them caused by hot metal meeting warm flesh.